But she said to them, do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me? Oh, Ruth comes back from where she was at, and now she comes back, and all the ladies see at a distance, oh, there's Naomi. Hey, there's Ruth, there's Naomi. And they all run over to Naomi, all excited about Naomi. All the ladies of the land, oh man, we are going to have a great tea time. We're going to have a great time. The ladies get together this weekend because here comes Naomi. They run over to Naomi, and when they get over to Naomi, Naomi, you're back. And Naomi, she comes. Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara. For I had left full, and now I have come back empty. What does she mean that she left full and came back empty? Well, gang, you must understand that when it came down to it, Naomi, she had actually went out. And when she went out, she had went with her husband. She had 2 younger sons. And they took off because of the fact that Bethlehem was in a famine. Bethlehem, no food. Nothing to eat. Kind of like our studies that we've been studying in the book of Genesis, where Jacob and Joseph and the whole land, there was no famine. There was a famine. There was no food. And just like then, they had considered going to Egypt at one point. But Joseph, he was over there in Egypt, and God used Joseph to be able to prepare for that time of famine. But here we are, though. This man by the name of Elimelech, he gets his wife Naomi, his 2 boys, and they leave and they go to Moab, to an ungodly area, to a place that they are not serving the Lord. And as they leave over there, they take off, and sure enough, her boys, eventually, they find some ladies. Ooh, what's happening, man? I'm the Benjamite, and I come from Bethlehem. And they're looking at these boys and these 2 girls. One marries the older brother. The second one marries the younger brother. And so they get married. And they're living great while Bethlehem is in famine. They're doing a great job. But all of a sudden, her boy dies. Or excuse me, her husband, Elimelech, he eventually dies. He's dead. Now Naomi's there, a widow. Her 2 sons, 2 daughter-in-laws, they're there. She's taking care of them. But then her next son, he dies. 10 years later, this next son, he dies. All her boys died. And eventually she says, whoa, I hear that everything's going good now in Bethlehem, so therefore I'm going to go ahead and go back to Bethlehem. Now, she's ready to go back to Bethlehem. Her daughters, one is Oprah. I don't know if her last name was Winfrey, but it was Oprah. Oprah was there, and also we have the other one, Naomi, is there. Ruth is there. And so Ruth is there, and she tells the 2 girls, stay here. You guys stay here in your Moab place. We're going to be leaving. I'm going back home. But they don't want to go back home. We're going to find. They go back, and she comes back, and Ruth is going to come back with her. And as we look at it, when the ladies come and seek her, as she had lost her husband, she lost her 2 sons. And when they said, hey, Naomi, you're back. Naomi meaning pleasantness. Naomi meaning it's pleasantful. She says, don't call me Naomi Pleasantness. There's no possible way that my life is pleasant right now. If anything, you guys, my name is changed. Call me Mara. Mara meaning bitter. My life is bitter. Things have come into my life. It's totally bitter. Call me Mara. You know, I think about it. There's many men that have found themselves with a lot of affliction, but there's none that ever experienced it like Job. There's a lot of ladies that have experienced affliction, but nobody like Naomi here, with all her family dead. And maybe you're sitting here this morning and you might feel as though, hey, I'm a failure, Pastor. I feel as though I'm a failure. That's exactly what Naomi's saying. I'm a failure right now. I feel as though I failed. I couldn't bring no kids. I couldn't bring a husband back. My 2 boys, I couldn't keep them safe. They're dead. I'm a failure. I tried and we pursued something in life and it now has failed. And maybe you try to pursue something within your own life and it's failed. Maybe you had a great vision, you wanted to do something, but it's dwindled in the midst of your hands. Maybe you said, I want this for my family, and now your family, it's there, but it's all gone. And right now you're sitting here, your career has failed you. Your spouse has failed you. Your life has failed. Your finances have failed. Everything has dwindled and has dissolved right in front of you, and you feel like Naomi, my life, don't call me Adam, call me Mara. Don't call me by my name, call me Mara, bitterness, because my life feels as though it's nothing but a failure. Do you understand that the many commentaries right now, they actually say that the failure wasn't necessarily with Naomi? They actually say that the failure was Elimelech, her husband. It was her husband who had failed, they say. Because you see, her husband is the one that actually got them to go from Bethlehem. And you know what Bethlehem means? The house of bread. Hey, there was a famine in the land, but the house of bread they're at. And he says, let's leave the house of bread and let's go on over to Moab. Let's go on to a different place. But you know what's even more interesting than that is what Amalek means. Amalek, his name means God is king. Wow. For all his life, you heard when they called him, God is king. Amalek, God is king. God is king, but was he king of his life? Here it is, we find that when it came down to it, he's in the house of bread, there's a famine, and God is king. I could trust him for all things, and yet he finds him taking his family and leaving. So most commentaries say, hey, it wasn't Naomi's fault at all. It was her husband's fault who had did this. And so we find that they're gone, and he should have had trust in the Lord. Psalms 34:9 tells us this. Oh, fear the Lord, you his saints. There is no want to those who fear him. The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of their troubles. You know, just because you and I may at times feel as though we failed doesn't necessarily mean that you failed. And just because Naomi right now is feeling as though she's a total failure doesn't mean that she's a failure in life. You might feel as though you're a failure right now. You might feel as though there was something about your life that you did and you failed. And you might necessarily not be a failure at all. Oh, but Pastor, just like Naomi, man, the hand of the Lord is on me. God is inflicting me. Things are just coming down on me. There's all this stuff is just coming in, just terrorizing me. And I'm here to tell you, you may not necessarily be a failure just because everything around you is crumbling. But then again, you might have failed in life. But then again, you might have fallen short of the glory of God. But then again, you might have done something that you know was totally wrong. You might have had to put your hands where you shouldn't have. You might have said something which you shouldn't have. You might have done something which you know you shouldn't have. And you have failed God. Well, I'm here to let you know this morning that God actually says that, you know what? His mercy endures forever. You know, the Bible says that God can come and do something within your life. Listen what these verses say here, that if you do find that you have failed, his mercies fail not. Psalms 89, verse 32. You know, as you're looking for it, Cooper once said, behind a frowning providence, God hides a smiling face. Isn't that encouraging? Well, Psalms 89, verse 32 says these words. Then I will punish their transgressions with the rod, and their iniquity with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness I will not utterly take from him, nor allow my faithfulness to fail. God says, I'm going to not punish your transgressions. I'm going to go and show you my loving kindness. I'm going to be faithful to you. Hey, Lamentations 3:22 says these words. Through the Lord's mercies, we are not consumed because his compassion fails not. Man, that's awesome to know that God's compassion will never fail you. Luke 22, verse 32 says, but I have prayed for you that your faith should not fail. And when you have returned to me, strengthen your brethren. You know what? God is saying that, hey, you may fail in life. You might have failed in life, but the Lord is ready to always pick you up and turn you around, dust you off, and say, I forgive you, and I want to restore you, and I want to do a great thing within your life.